Goal setting during injury rehab. Introduction. My target audience are NCAA Division II athletes. These athletes compete at a high level while they complete their degree in school. They have these two important stressors, which are competing while studying, which makes them feel more overwhelmed than the usual pro athletes. Because pro athletes only focus on their sport, while these student athletes have two things that they need to be focused and be good at. The purpose of my presentation is to demonstrate how goal setting helps NCAA Division II athletes during rehab. Also to demonstrate the positive effects that this strategy has to offer. So theory and background information. Goal setting is often implemented by athletes with the aim of improving performance. Its objective is to identify clear spots for the rehabilitation process to enable athletes to return back to fitness both mentally and physically. Because in sports it's really important the mental and the physical part. If you have one more than the other, it's okay, but you always want to try to balance both. At its best, a well-planned and structured goal-setting program facilitates full physical, psychological, and performance recovery, and allows athletes the possibility to make substantial performance gains. Setting goals during rehabilitation has been found to have a positive effect on the athlete's psychological and physiological healing, enabling faster recovery and returning back to their sport as soon as possible. Also, more recently, goal setting has been found to impact injured athletes' attitude, successful appraisal, acceptance of the injury. This is an important part because sometimes it's hard for athletes to understand, to accept the fact that they are injured. So by this goal setting, it helps them understand and process it, and then in conclusion, in consequence, they will address this injury better and try to make the recovery faster. Overall, confidence in the injury recovery, as well as adherence to the rehabilitation program. It enhances everything as a whole. The relationship between rehabilitation, adherence, and goal setting has been well documented in the literature, and research has found it to provide the athlete with a sense of achievement and accomplishment, which further increases in adherence. Moreover, goal setting has also been found to facilitate athletes' levels of motivation, effort, and persistence, which can also be seen as beneficial in enhancing adherence. Adherence and having a positive attitude were identified as key determinants in defining athletes' successful coping with their injuries. The top 3 rates psychological strategies ATs athletic trainers deem important to learn more about when understanding motivation. Where understanding motivation, using effective communication, and setting realistic goals. We can see that they point out setting realistic goals, which is part of goal setting, because we want to have specific goals, realistic goals that our athletes can accomplish. So application. There are 4 phases in order to apply goal setting to NCAA Division II athletes. The first is by assess and identify athletes' personal and physical needs for successful rehabilitation and recovery. The second one is identify and set appropriate physical, physiological, and performance goals. The third one is consider factors that may influence goal setting effectiveness. The fourth one is follow a step-by-step program to integrate goal setting into injury rehabilitation. Setting SMART goals is recommended to athletes when setting goals. As I mentioned previously, SMART goals stand for, as I mentioned previously, SMART goals help you to have your goals, to know which specific goals you want to achieve. So this stands for measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So it's something specific that you can measure, that you yourself can measure. You can achieve them. They are relevant to you, and they are time-based. So you're gonna set a time specific for them. When the athletes apply the goal-setting strategy, they will be able to measure themselves in order to see their improvement, and therefore this will motivate them and boost their energy to keep going positively with this rehabilitation, as they see themselves recovering from this injury properly, and every time they're more close to play again their sport. Goal setting will help NCAA students athletes also to keep motivated, as I mentioned before, to keep pushing to recover faster and be able to perform for next season. So now some examples. So first of all, there was an individual that set goals of imagery rehearsal. Every day she was injured. She would, while she was in rehab or in bed, just doing anything, she would think, okay, I'm going to get ready for practice. Now I'm warming up for practice. Now I'm actually practicing my sport. Her sport was track, so I'm running, and then every day she rehearsed it all the time. So because she had an important competition that was motivating her to do so, and she believed she could compete on that competition. The doctor said she wouldn't, but finally, after rehearsing every day, she was able to compete. And I assume that setting goals was really important for her, because if not, she would not be like organized and specific, and she could not measure how well she was doing this imagery rehearsal. Also, one personal example is when I was playing tennis, I was injured, and of my forehand, the wrist, I couldn't hold the racket, and therefore I started to set up goals that would help me to keep playing, but so these goals were based on playing, but with the left hand, only with the left hand. So at the beginning it was hard because my left arm is really weak, so it was really hard, and I was thinking like, I think I shouldn't even try, just do my rehab and that's it. But then I set up some goals. I start from little, like just hit like 10, 20 balls per day. Doesn't matter if it's good or not, if it's in or out, it's fine. And then I saw that I was kind of getting better each time. So I started putting the task harder and harder. And so once I got out of rehab, I was able to hit with both hands the backhand and my forehand. And I realized that my backhand got way stronger because of my practice of the one single with the left arm. And I think that if I didn't set up these goals, I would never have the motivation to push up, because while I was every day I was checking like how I was doing, if I was improving, like how many balls were in, out, and every day was an improvement. So that kept me motivated to keep doing so. And yeah, I believe that I would never have this opportunity to improve my backhand while I was, if I was not injured. And it also was helpful for me because it helped me to keep on shape and not lose the technique. So when I came back to practice, and it just made it easier for me to keep playing. And now here are some references that I found from articles, scholar articles that are peer reviewed. And that's it.